Ohio State, you're watching Ohio State beat Purdue last year at the Mackey. Ohio State has beaten Purdue. How does Ohio State beat Purdue in this game? I think the first thing that we've got to look at is Ohio State has got to be able to catch fire from three. I've talked about this game to game at times so far this year, but I recognize this is not where Ohio State wins. This is not where Ohio State is really, really good. But again, Purdue is going to give up the 3-point shot. Where's that number? I got to go backwards in my notes here. I got to go way backwards in my notes here. Actually, it's on the same page. Dummy. 322nd in the nation in three-pointers allowed per game. Teams shoot it 33% against Purdue's defense. They've given up three-pointers. Talked about the 18 that were made on Purdue by Illinois. This is a spot where I think Ohio State can win. And look, you're playing against a team that is much better than you. How do you have the ability to kind of the talent gap and just the overall production gap from Purdue to Ohio State? How do you make up for that? I think you've got to do some things that you don't do season long. And one of those things is making three-pointers. You're the home team. We know all the time I say defense travels. I do believe that. I know that there are coaches who believe that as well. So if that's the case, then you got to hit some threes and you got to hope some of those shots go in and consistently. You saw how Ohio State started the game against Iowa. They had the opportunity to get up early because of those 3-point shots. John Mobley Jr. made 2. Amari Bynum made 2 to start off that 14-2 run for Ohio State against Iowa. And then there was pretty much nothing after that. They didn't shoot the 3-ball all that bad for the rest of the game. They just, well, actually they did shoot it bad for the rest of the game. They didn't shoot poorly game long, but the final 15 or 35 minutes of the game, Ohio State was not very good shooting from the 3-point line. So the Buckeyes, they're going to have to make some shots. John Mobley Jr., Bruce Thornton, Amari Bynum. Can Gabe Cupps make a 3? Gosh. If that's what you're asking for, good luck. But I think Ohio State's got to hit some 3-pointers in this game in order to win. I think you also look at throwback. Second key to the game for Ohio State. You're going to have to Eugene Brownify this defense. What do I mean by that? Well, I'm bringing up Ohio State legend Eugene Brown because there was a game, well, that'd be 3 years ago at this point, when Eugene Brown had to be your stopper against Zach Edey because Zed Key did not play. Now, Zach Edey in that game, he scored 32 points and Purdue won 80-66. So I'm not saying it was successful. We're not aiming for the success that Ohio State had when Eugene Brown had to guard Zach Edey at 6'8". My goodness. But what I am saying is you're going to have to go into this game knowing the stakes, knowing you're not really supposed to win or be successful here. And just like Eugene Brown was not supposed to win or be successful against Zach Edey, you're just going to have to find ways defensively to essentially do things you're not supposed to do and still win, right? Like you're going to be playing out of position. You're going to be playing a team that's really, really successful. You're not necessarily playing a guy in Zach Edey who 100 years ago, people would play money to see at carnivals, but you're still playing a team that they've got the size in the front court. They've got the ability in the front court. You're just going to have to deal with playing out of position sometimes, being in a bind defensively, and still getting stops. The only way to beat this Purdue offense at number 2, I mean, let's do this. We haven't even brought up this number yet. Purdue number 2 in adjusted offensive efficiency so far this year. Ohio State's defense is 61st. You're just going to have to win. You're just going to have to beat guys at times defensively when you're not used to winning and beating guys defensively so far this year. It's going to take a special amount of effort, and that's what it's going to take in order to win this game for Ohio State. This Purdue offense is so good. Good luck. Good luck. Go Eugene Brown it. Know you're going to play out of your role. Know you're going to have to play out of your position. Know you're going to play out of your realm, and you're going to have to win. So prediction in this game, here's what the BIP says about it, then I'll tell you kind of my overall thoughts. BIP projects Purdue to be favored by 6.5 on the road in Columbus, a total at 151.5. So Purdue pretty handsomely favored in this game. I have questions. First of all, does Christoph Tilley play for Ohio State? We've talked about the health for Ohio State all year. John Mobley Jr. comes back from a finger surgery. Devin Rose missed some time, obviously with sickness. Amari Bynum has been on and off the availability report. Obviously, Gabe Cupps missed some time. No Brandon Knoll, again, for this one. I know a lot of fans ask about Brandon Knoll. He's not coming back anytime soon. So he's not going to play in this game. That said, does Christoph Tilly play? Good luck against this Purdue front court if you don't have Christoph Tilly. Even talking about Christoph Tilly being soft or what have you, that's fine. You still need the body in there at this point. You need a 7-footer. So will Christoph Tilly play? That's a question I have. I think you also have the question of, can it possibly get any worse for Ohio State than they played against Iowa? I would say no. I would hope not. It can't get any worse than how you played against Iowa. You just laid down and said, well, have your way. Have your way, Iowa. I can't think it can possibly get worse against Purdue, especially at home. It's going to be a big crowd. It's going to be a Sunday game. It's going to be loud there in the shot for two or three times a year does the shot get loud. I think this is one of those games. You also look at the pace of play. Big difference between Ohio State playing Iowa and Ohio State playing Purdue. Purdue's pace, it's not super fast, but it's 64.9, which is low, but not as low as Iowa. So I think that might give Ohio State a little bit more of a comfort factor in this game. Not that Ohio State plays with a high pace all that often, but I think Ohio State probably plays a little bit better when they're not playing teams like Iowa, who are first percentile in pace. So I think you look at that factor as well. Look, I came into this year in the preseason, I picked Ohio State to win this game over Purdue. I said Jake Diebler is 2-0 against the Boilermakers. I'm not going to pick against Jake Diebler against Purdue. I've learned my lesson on that 2 times now, so I'm not going to do it. He's also got a win on the road against Purdue. 1-0 at home, 1-0 on the road. Obviously, it's easier to win at home. But look, I said Ohio State was going to win this game coming into the year. Ohio State is playing on house money. We know the urgency of this game. We know that Purdue is going to be favored. We know that no one's going to pick Ohio State to win this game, unless me, maybe. I already picked Ohio State to win the game in the preseason. This is a different time, though. So we know Ohio State, they're going to be playing on house money. They need to win this game. You're going to get mad at me. We're still not in must-win territory for Ohio State. You don't get into must-win until if you don't win this game, you are eliminated from at-large contention. Ohio State can still get into at-large contention and get in with an at-large bid if they lose this game. It's just going to be harder, but this is a game that Ohio State really, truly does need to get. So in terms of the urgency, playing on house money, Devin Royal said after the loss that essentially they didn't band together. I don't know how you go 35 minutes of not banding together. John Mobley Jr. getting mad on the bench. I don't know. Maybe they had a kumbaya, a come to Jesus moment. Maybe instead of practicing on Friday, they're just going to go to a boxing ring and just punch each other for an hour. I don't know what fixes that, but obviously it needs to be fixed. Ohio State, I think they can win this game with a couple extra 3-pointers than they're used to seeing and scoring inside where Purdue is more vulnerable. At this point, again, I picked Purdue. I picked Purdue I picked Ohio State over Purdue in the preseason, knowing coming into the year that Purdue was going to be favored to win the Big Ten, and Ohio State was not. Purdue, a little bit worse than expected so far this year. Is this team as good as we think? Or is the team what we've seen at times this year with some inconsistent play from Fletcher Lawyer? Braden Smith, really, really good. He's not a crazy athlete. They don't have necessarily crazy athletes on this team. Is this team just a product of a very good coach and they have some really good nights with Braden Smith leading it? Or are they actually that good? That's a question that you're going to have to, I guess, answer yourself. I'm not going to answer it for you. I want to pick Ohio State. I do. Everything on the line for Ohio State, trying to fight and claw its way into the NCAA tournament, trying to not let Bruce Thornton miss the NCAA tournament for his entire career and reward him for coming back to Ohio State. Unless we see the patented Diebler devil magic that we see against Purdue, and unless we see the patented Bruce Thornton takeover for Ohio State, I don't see how they win this game. And quite frankly, I think this Purdue offense is just way too good for Ohio State's defense. So I will pick Purdue to win this